than that.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, Manoj. Mayuresh, we probably can squeeze in one question before we have to take a break. What have you made of Tata Steel and L&T? You will go for it, buy on both?
Morning, Lata. I think, yes, impressive set of numbers. Specifically, I think what L&T delivered in terms of their margin performance was quite exceptional. Again, I think the disappointment in terms of order inflows were more or less anticipated by the street. But by the guidance that they've given, I think one really needs to understand over the next couple of quarters whether they'll be able to do that. But yes, I think a positive set of numbers coming through, re-rating in the stock. So positive on L&T. What Tata Steel delivered, I think was exceptional as well. I think if you take off that exceptional item and the diminution that you've probably done in terms of impairment, you've seen improvement happening in the European operations with losses narrowing down on an EBITDA to ton basis. The Southeast Asian operations surprised as well. And what might stand out for Tata Steel going forward is the domestic operations with Kalinganagar starting and ramping up over the next few quarters. Our own take is that realizations improving with the imposition of MIP is going to greatly aid the end product realizations for Tata Steel. With volume ramp up happening, the domestic operations are going to stay extremely stable. What happens with the UK asset sale is going to be a little bit of an overhang in the interim. But I think if it's successfully done over the next few weeks or quarters, my own take is that Tata Steel Europe, again from an FY18 perspective, as a lot of analysts are pegging in, should reduce their losses significantly and the cash burn that they're suffering at this point of time. So yes, I think results positive, remain optimistic on both the stocks.
Okay, so optimistic on those stocks. Mayuresh, hi, morning. Would you buy Ashok Leyland after the fall it saw yesterday? Because the management has clarified that they won't be doing any fundraising, at least in this year. So no question of equity dilution now.
Morning, Sonia. I think, yes, the concern yesterday post-results was that equity dilution might probably have happening in terms of what the earnings might pan out, but I think the management has clarified no dilution taking place. Again, I think the hit in terms of elimination that they probably taken on their investments was largely getting factored in because the management was hinting a few quarters back on the subsidy losses that they're suffering on their overseas ventures. Having said that, probably I think the volume growth figures that the management has given around 15-20% is extremely encouraging. I think the general trend that we are probably seeing within the MHCV segment is encouraging as well. So Ashok Leyland stands to benefit significantly on that aspect. With operating leverage playing out, my own sense is that EBITDA margins can be sustained at levels between 11.5% and 12.5%. If this probably happens, I think the performance that they delivered probably in the last fiscal might well continue into FY17. So yes, again, I remain extremely positive, optimistic on Ashok Leyland over the next 12 to 15 months.
All right. We will come back to the Ashok Leyland stock again. Let's do one thing. Take a quick break and we'll be back.
Welcome back. Well, the stock that was in focus yesterday was Ashok Leyland on the back of good numbers but some enabling resolution that the company has taken to raise funds. Gopal Mahadevan, the CFO of the company, joins us now to talk about that. Mr. Mahadevan, the operational pickup is fine, but the street has been worried about the 390 crore write-off that you've taken due to impairments of the joint ventures and subsidiaries. Thank you for joining us. That's the word coming in from Ashok Leyland. No fundraising and no equity dilution, and there's quite an optimistic forecast for the future. By the way,
GAIL as well, it's not just Larsen & Toubro, but GAIL as well is responding to the very strong margins. So keep those two stocks in your radar among others whose numbers have hit the screen.
Oh yes, but L&T really takes your breath away. 8% higher now in pre-opening. Remember, as we told you, the valuations for L&T look quite supportive at about 15 times FY18, and as the analyst was also earlier telling us, it deserves to trade higher than 20 times purely because of the growth potential that the company has laid out. But let's talk about some more numbers now. We have 10 more minutes before the market opens, and Varinder Bansal is here with our favorite earnings Pataka segment of the day. Varinder, what have you picked up today?
Well, two companies, Surya Lakshmi Cotton first, clearly great set of numbers coming in from this company. Total income up 31%. Look at the EBITDA, it was up 3 times for Surya Lakshmi. 31 crores compared to 10.5 crores, and margins coming at 14%, coming at versus only 6.5%. And the company reported a net profit compared to net loss. You know, a lot of companies this time are turning around, you know, from a loss to profit, EBITDA loss to EBITDA profit. Surya Lakshmi is one of them. The market cap of only 240 crores. The company reported, FY16 profit of 30 crores compared to only 12 crores. The stock is trading around, 8 or 9 times FY16 earnings. The second stock is TV Today. Consistent, very, very stable play in terms of reporting numbers. Look at the numbers for TV Today. Total income was up 24%. Net profit for this company was up 73%. EBITDA came at 25 crores compared to only 9 crores, and EBITDA margins at 17.5% compared to 8%. Market cap of 2,000 crores. The company has already reported a profit of nearly 100 crores in FY16. People are expecting around 20% growth going ahead. So the stock is trading around 14-15 times FY17 earnings. Great set of numbers from this company. So Surya Lakshmi Cotton and TV Today for me as earnings pataka.
Yeah, and TV Today is the second time earnings pataka. It's a repeat pataka. So 2 quarters in a row, it's got the trying standards of Varinder Bansal. You don't easily get into his list. So that's great performance from TV Today. But as well, we should be looking at Surya Lakshmi Cotton. Very good numbers coming in, turnaround numbers coming in from that company as well. Paritosh Agarwal, the managing director, actually joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Agarwal. Thanks much for joining us. With your take, that Surya Lakshmi turnaround and expects to do even better in FY17. Quickly, we should read out the numbers. At the moment, the Nifty is looking like it's made the first stretch towards 8,000. 7974. So the traditional roof of 7980 is still proving to be formidable. And the Bank Nifty is a bit of a drag. Surprise, surprise is Tata Steel starting 1.4% lower despite the EBITDA coming good. Probably a lot was baked in anticipation of the sale going through. Yeah. Very foolish to expect that sale would go through, but probably that's why some disappointment being reflected.
Oh yes, but the stock of the moment definitely is L&T. I mean, look at the up move there, almost 9% higher. Mayuresh, I wanted you to give us a target price on L&T, because you did mention that the stock will move up higher post numbers, but have you upgraded your earnings estimates, and if yes, what is your 12-month target price now on L&T?
Again, I think remain optimistic. Very difficult for me to give a target price at this point of time. We are revising our numbers, yes, but the numbers have been revised upwards. What has done wonders for L&T probably is their infrastructure segment and the kind of contribution that the management had indicated in Q3, that a lot of their projects on the infra side were reaching revenue threshold limits. I think that has got probably achieved at this point of time. The working capital constraints of the cycle at around 24-25% has probably got peaked off. So I think the order books that are probably coming through are probably coming through more on the infrastructure side, so the margin improvement can be quite going forward as well. But again, I think it was trading at quite reasonable valuations, as you rightly mentioned. I think on the standalone entity around 15 times FY18 estimates, and even if you take an SOTP valuation, Sonia, at this point of time, I think they've got a lot of assets that can also have a value addition. L&T Infotech, for example, I think the divestment thereof, or the relisting thereof, or the listing thereof can be a huge plus for L&T. The reality business, the L&T finance business, has started showing signs of pickup. So overall, I think the earnings should see a significant pickup happening, but a significant re-rating will happen if the company delivers in terms of their performance in Q1 as well. So I think the earnings estimates have got up as of now, but I think a significant re-rating will happen post Q1 numbers if the company is able to deliver both on their top line as well as their order guidance continuing forward.
All right, Mayuresh, thanks a lot for that. Well, we just have about 4 minutes more. Okay, of the mid-cap companies that announced numbers, Thermax, Cummins and all were disappointing. Is there anything that stood out for you that you would buy after the numbers?
Again, Lata, I think what has probably stood out has been a company called Visakha Industries. What the company delivered in terms of the EBITDA was quite commendable. The profitability came around at 10 odd crores, the margins at 10.4%. And the management is extremely optimistic in terms of their core businesses of building products doing well. Within building products, the asbestos cement sheets have been languishing over the last 2 years because of a drought situation and because rural discretionary incomes had not picked up. But a significant improvement in monsoons will probably edge up the EBITDA margins for this segment. The V-boards has been doing extremely well for the company. They're in fact capping up their capacity from 90,000 odd tons to 120. And again, I think the synthetic yarn business had been struggling over the last few quarters. But again, with improvement both in terms of raw material costs going down and demand, at least on the domestic side, picking up, my own sense is that revenue growth should be quite significant for this company. And again, if you look at valuation, it trades around 6 times. You take an average median of around 7 times for the past 3 to 4 years. It's quite reasonably valued. I think the earnings estimates can be quite significant over the next couple of years.
Okay, thanks for that, Mayuresh. Well, Manoj, if you're still there, okay, Manoj isn't with us. Sudarshan, having looked at the opening, is there anything you want to add in terms of stocks? L&T starts with 8.7%. It's only a pre-opening rate, it's a bid, and Tata Steel starts lower, 1.4 lower.
Well, Tata Steel is not a buy, that's for sure. And L&T is an opportunity to buy, but not if it gaps up like this. It will come down, and L&T then remains a buy on dips. One other stock that I think I should point out is HDFC, the housing finance company, and ITC. Both these index heavyweights are going to be leaders. So any dip today, intraday dip, is a buy for these.
Any thoughts on how to approach a name like Bosch now, Sudarshan? Very good numbers coming in, and the stock in any case has been an outperformer.
Yeah, it should remain an outperformer, but again I would feel that it needs to go through a minor dip or correction for the short-term trader to buy into.
Okay. Well, Ashwini, what would be the stock of the morning?
I think Voltas is a buy with a stop of 330, target of 352.
Okay, that's one among the many stocks that Ashwini has advised, and that is the stock of the moment, he says. Prakash, has anything come into your radar?
Yeah, I like Castrol. Looks like short covering could come in here. Strong support in the vicinity of 366. On the upside, target could be in the vicinity of 380.
Okay, we are just about, okay, still 1 minute to go for the markets to open. We have Anuj with us, so Anuj, any thoughts? It looks like, okay, it's a positive start, but it's not a gung-ho start.
Yeah, the only point you got to say is that if you see the contribution plate, Larsen is contributing how much? Larsen is contributing 25 points, and still the Nifty is up only 40 points in pre-open. It's a matter of when and not if Nifty takes out 8,000, but the sense you get is that if it has to happen, maybe it happens in the opening burst itself. Otherwise, there might be some consolidation, and then maybe towards expiry, let's see if there is a move towards 8,000. And again, the stocks to watch would remain stocks like HDFC Bank, and ITC. If the index has to move, Larsen would only do this much. It's unlikely to see more than 8% rally in Larsen. So let's see how things go.
No, I guess ICICI and Infosys, HDFC in particular have to put their shoulder to the wheel. Otherwise, you're not getting there.
The expiry move maybe already happened yesterday. So let's see. I mean, there's some more left.
A fair point. And even the global cues, Asian markets started to show a little bit of red. So it's not like yesterday at all. 9% Larsen. So I'm just, my eyes are fixed on that stock. It's 14.20 as I speak. 10% higher on Larsen. When did we last see that? This is a thumbs up not just for the stock, but as Sonia was pointing out, it's when the capital goods sector shows better numbers, something is turning in the economy itself. But for the other stocks, BHEL 1.1% higher. So shining in borrowed feathers for the moment, if you please. Tata Motors 1%, Ambuja Cement, Tata Motors DBR, Idea, HDFC at 0.9 higher. Bajaj Auto, again numbers still please, the market 0.7 higher. Lupin 0.6 higher, Dr. Reddy's 0.6, Bank of Baroda 0.7, GAIL 0.5%, ACC 0.5%, Asian Paints 0.5%, Kotak Mahindra 0.5%, well, 0.25% actually, 0.45 if you please. What's in the red? Actually, it's not that Tata Steel is deeply in the red or anything. We must pull up Tata Steel. It's just about managed to be in the green, about 0.5%. So good numbers, but some disappointment that the load is not sold off, and it is. You have to still grapple with that 74,000 crore debt. So on an EV to EBITDA, it's still 7 times, and the market's, I guess, digesting that.
Just a point that entire 30 point is now on account of Larsen. I mean, the Nifty opened at 79.85, and it's now at 79.67, and the entire 30 point is on account of Larsen.
Yeah, and the others are just kind of scoring off each other. So the rest of the market is up 1%, up down 1% each stock, and therefore not contributing much by way of index performance. Its Bank Nifty is definitely a drag. It's in flat terrain at this point in time. So I think yesterday's performers, HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank, ICICI Bank, are not really helping the case. Mid caps?
The stock of the moment in the mid-cap space is Ujjivan, Lata. It's up 10% right now, and big volumes getting traded on Ujjivan this morning. The numbers that they reported also looked very strong. They came in yesterday, and the NII growth has come in at almost 70%. Remember, this is the first quarter that they're reporting post the listing. The net profits have gone up to 84 crores versus 20 crores. So, things are looking quite good for Ujjivan. There's some follow-on.
There might be some, there might be some magic in the fact that an EV Birla Group interview story in the papers suggested that they may take the route to buying a small bank to getting into banking. I don't know whether it will be allowed under the rules, but that could also be spurring.
Also keep in mind, and this is something we expected after the listing, because Ujjivan didn't have the kind of listing that a lot of others had. And there always, post-listing gains was always possibility for Ujjivan, because there was much more left on table for Ujjivan than compared to some of the others.
Fair point. Pull up Equitas as well, just to keep it on the table. There was this word on the street that probably AB Birla will look to buy. We don't know whether the Reserve Bank will allow people to buy up licenses, buy their way into a banking license, but that news may be also giving wings to some stocks. Sorry, go ahead, Sonia.
And no, so apart from Ujjivan, there are plenty of other stocks. VRL Logistics is making one attempt to recover, so just keep an eye out on that stock. A couple of other result reactions. Let's take a look at Ashok Leyland, because there was an expectation that it could recover about 0.5% or so higher on Ashok Leyland this morning. Ratan India, a stock that we don't generally talk about, it's just an 11 rupee stock, but post its numbers, that stock is up almost 15.5%, and the volumes are picking up over there. Tata Metallics once again is up almost about 5%, so do keep your eye out on that. And the positive numbers from L&T has had a rub-off effect on a lot of these smaller capital goods players. So look at Punj Lloyd, it's up almost about 3% right now. Couple of others like BGR Energy Systems, etc. are also in the green. However, you have lots of result disasters today. What could top that list is AstraZeneca Pharma, because there the EBITDA has gone down by 92%. That stock is down almost about 5%. HCL Infosystems is down almost about 4%, and you do have some profit taking seen in names like Manappuram General Finance. But all in all, a decent steady opening for the market. It's good to see that after the big rally we saw yesterday, the follow-on continues on the upside. Anuj, of course, most of the heavy lifting is being done by L&T, but it's one heavyweight or the other that's really contributing to the market up move these days.
Yeah, the sense you get is that the opening burst opened at 17,985. It could not take out 8,000. So the sense you get is, let's say till 10 a.m. if 8,000 is not taken out, then consolidation could be the order of the day. The market will give you buying opportunities. It's not necessary that you got to buy at the highs. The market will give you dips invariably. But that we can talk about day-to-day affairs for the Nifty, and an expiry date's always tough. But the larger context that the market has clearly shown you over the last few days is that if now you get dips for any reasons, 100, 200, 300 point dips, then you go to then buy and create portfolios and add to your stocks, and chances are that you'll have days like say yesterday when you'll be rewarded for having built positions in a period of decline or in a period of consolidation.
Your point is taken, and you have said this several times before. It's certainly rewarded, and I think our tech gurus are largely agreeing with you on the longer term trend or the medium term trend of the Nifty. Ashwini, to get back to you, any fresh stocks that are now coming into your... okay, before I come to the stocks, how do you trade the Nifty itself at this point in time? You said you would buy only around 7920, right?
See, I would start buying. You can't really have, exact levels where you get all in. So you start buying 25%, 50%. As we go lower towards 79.20, you'll probably get all of yourself in. And from those levels thereabouts, you should have some sort of intraday play on the upside. But today you buy the strong stocks of yesterday. So all these private banks, etc., Yes Bank, IndusInd, if they are giving you dips, today is the buy to get. Today is the day to get into those stocks. The morning could be weak. I think the afternoon could be much better.
Okay, in fact, I want to pull up the chart of Yes Bank. It's now above the 1,000 rupee mark, so it's hit a new high today, and that's iconic for Yes Bank, because for really long we were waiting for Yes Bank to hit that 4-digit mark, so to speak. Just pull up a 1-year chart of Yes Bank, and you'll see the kind of phenomenal run it's had post its very strong numbers. So this, in a sense, is iconic. I mean, Yes Bank
absolutely. I mean, now we shouldn't mince. We have for the longest time been skeptical whether the stock will be able to make it, because it has exposure to a lot of heavy corporates, but they have managed that exposure much better than other, probably because they were small. The exposures also were small. They were not calling the tune for a lot of the large corporates, but they've managed that exposure very well. And now when L&T turns, now when Ratan India turns, Ratan India was one of those who couldn't pay or didn't have enough money for its interest payments for the longest time, 11, 12 quarters. So now when the completely difficult companies are turning, and the big ones in difficult sectors, numbers like L&T are turning, that is the time when, Yes Bank would have it good both ways. They passed through the tough times, so they should be doing better now that the corporate sector seems to be at least out of the woods in some parts.
Just couple of more points. Yes, I mean the point on Yes Bank is taken, Lata. I mean it was beaten up like anything, and even now a lot of people would believe valuation wise it's still at a discount.
It's gone to 3 times plus.
Exactly. But the other thing is the bank Nifty is in the red. Larsen is contributing 28 points and the Nifty is up 21 points. So X of Larsen, the stocks are tracking the market. Just keep that in mind, and also keep an eye on VRL Logistics. That's one stock which we pointed out in the morning yesterday as well. The market is trying to give a bit of a benefit of doubt to that statement of promoter that day, and from lower levels yesterday the stock is now up some 18% or thereabouts.
Okay, so while the market is still quiet with a positive bias, there are plenty of stocks in the news right now. Of course, top of mind is L&T with almost a 10% gain. Yes Bank is the other big talking point. It's hit the 1,000 rupee mark for the first time at a fresh high over there, and then a couple of others like VRL Logistics, etc., making an attempt to recover. So Darshan, I know you've been a big fan of private banks like all others, but between Yes Bank and IndusInd Bank, where do you see higher value now? Because both are hitting new highs day after day, or do you just buy into both?
Well, I don't understand value, but I would say Yes Bank has better charts.
Well, I actually want to ask you even about TTK Prestige. Again, it reported good numbers. It could not be rewarded because it was already an expensive stock. Yesterday's reward is being shaved off. Is there a trade in TTK Prestige, Sudarshan?
No, there's no trade. It's choppy and sideways in this market. I wouldn't touch it.
Okay. Prakash, is there anything that has now come into your gaze?
Yeah, like Idea is looking good. It's given a strong support at 110, can climb to levels close to 115 to 118, maybe more, but 118 should be possible.
Okay, and the other stock I wanted the expert opinion on is GAIL. Its numbers look good, its forecasts are very good, but Ashwini, are the charts chiming in response?
See, GAIL has moved up and possibly coming out of a correction. So chances are that ONGC etc. are now catching up. We could see levels of 420, 425 on GAIL fairly soon.
Okay, well now the market is actually picking up some pace, so don't lose sight of the index itself. The Nifty is now very close to the 8,000 mark, 7965, and now the economy sensitive stocks are starting to pull up. So Ambuja Cements is at the high point now, up about 1%. Hero Motocorp is at the high point, up about 0.7%. Eicher Motors is now picking up as well. Anuj, we were talking about how there are some real indications of a pickup, whether it's the auto sales, whether it's cement sales, now L&T's numbers. Do you get a sense that maybe some of these economy related plays will once again see buying action?
Yeah, and sometimes we also look at the screen and our opinion is swayed by that, Sonia. But I think we were discussing this yesterday, not just auto sales, but even for example Info Edge's numbers. At least some signs of maybe hiring picking up. That's the Naukri.com essentially numbers that we have, and I think Larsen and Toubro's numbers clearly. Larsen and Toubro and ICICI Bank I think were the two numbers that I was watching out for this quarter. ICICI Bank maybe did not live up to market's expectation, but clearly Larsen has. And auto numbers, auto and cement, these are the two real economy indicator numbers as far as the stock market is concerned.
Yeah, and actually that's rubbing off on a lot of these industry related companies, even those that have not necessarily performed. But Larsen is, look at the kind of stocks that are doing well today. Ratan India, of course, up 13.2%, but Ramkrishna Forgings, the numbers actually were not gung-ho, but that's 3.5% higher. Punj Lloyd is up 3%. Adani Power, BGR Energy, Suzlon of course, but many of these power capital goods kind of guys are all getting a look in today. It may be just a one-day wonder for some of the stocks, but for some of them it also signifies a changing of the terrain.
Oh yes, and today we are reacting to our positive domestic cues, because if you look at what's happening in Asia, many markets are in the red. So for example, Hang Seng, Shanghai are all down. I mean, Shanghai is down almost 1%. So we are solely reacting to our own domestic positive cues, and that's something I think that's very, very heartening to see. So let's get you some more trading ideas then in our segment Super 6.